Good evening. We're going to call the Planning and Zoning Board meeting to order. We'll start with a moment of silence, followed by the pledge led by Ms. Brooks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Staff, if you would call the roll.
Frederick McCoy,
Here.
Edward Canuti, Shay Brooks,
Here.
Julius Wiggum, Renee James, Marie Davis,
Present.
Brian Colton,
Here.
Kimberly Jackson, Arthur Hamilton,
Here.
5 board members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Any additions or deletions?
Just for the record, Jeff Gagnon, Planning and Zoning Administrator. I did hear from Mr. Canuti and also Ms. James, as well as Ms. Jackson, saying that they wouldn't be able to attend tonight's meeting. Additionally, I would ask that the board extends voting rights to Mr. Hamilton in the absence of other board members tonight.
Absolutely.
Other than that, there are no additions or deletions to the agenda.
Thanks. Are there any disclosures by board members, voting conflicts? Hearing none, is there a consensus to adopt this agenda? Hearing no opposition,
So moved.
So, second.
probably moved in second. All in favor? Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? None. Approval of the minutes.
Move that the minutes be subject with necessary corrections if there are any.
So moved by Mr. Hamilton.
A second.
Properly moved in second. If you would call the roll for the approval of minutes.
Marie Davis,
Yes.
Shay Brooks,
Yes.
Brian Colton,
Yes.
Arthur Hamilton,
Yes.
Frederick McCoy.
Yes.
Minutes approved.
Presentations, Mr. Gagnon.
None tonight.
Unfinished business, new business.
Yes, tonight under new business, we have 5 applications. They're all very similar in nature. We actually had applications going from the Planning and Zoning Board previously, and these are similar to those applications. What is being requested is that family daycares would allow up to 6 children. They're asking for approval to receive a large family child care home status, which would allow up to 12 children. Again, they're very similar to the applications that we saw probably roughly, could be a year ago at this point. But tonight we'll have Mario Velasquez, our senior planner and GIS specialist, present the applications for a large family child care home to the board.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mario Velasquez, senior planner. This application is large family child care special exception application number ASCII 1302 for Bird Necessity Daycare. I'm going to go over the location, give familiarize with the area, follow with the staff analysis, and we're going to conclude with the special exception analysis. As you can see, the property is located east of Old Dixie, south of Blue Heron. And as we zoom into the area, We can see that it's located in the southwest corner of 1951 Avenue H East. On a parcel approximately 9,323 square feet, zone RS6, single family, official land use of single family residential. So you can see on the screen that's in front of the property, that's what it's looks like, the outside. These are just surrounding properties, and as you can tell from the type of buildings, it's just a residential area, and from the zoning map, they're all RS6 residential single families. On the screen we have the site plan as provided by the applicant. We have used the application and some other information to determine if the applicant fulfills all the requirements from ordinance number 3092. Also, extra information provided was that there are 2 full-time employees. In this case, it's Latonia Butler, the owner and operator, and Denise McCrae Williams, the second full-time employee. The applicant has also provided a 2011-2012 health department license, which is the 2-year requirement from the ordinance. So he does comply with it. Also, the 1 year for the childhood development associate, and a statement acknowledging and accepting the child ratio provided by the health department, which is either maximum of 8 children from birth to 24 months of age, or a maximum of 12 children with no more than 4 children under 24 months. Also, staff has confirmed that there are no bars or package stores or other large family child care homes within 250 feet from this location. Based on all of this information, we have determined that the applicant is requesting to operate a large family child care home at 1951 Avenue H East. This facility will typically have up to 12 children and 2 full-time employees. This proposed use will comply with the city's land development regulations if a special exception approval was granted by City Council in the single-family RS6 zoning district. The proposed use will be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, and as far as levels of service, the city services such as roads, water, sewer, and garbage collection are currently available to the site. Staff considers the existing landscaping appropriate and adequate at this time. The landscape will have to be maintained according to the state's land development code. Also, the applicant is providing with 3 parking spaces required. So under the special exception analysis, looking at the property where it's located, and staff has determined that as far as ingress to and egress from the property, it is directly up Avenue H East and West 20th Street. Without street parking, this is special exception analysis also, just so you know, it also covers what's required by ordinance number 3092. So for off-street parking and loading areas, the existing driveway will provide the 3 parking spaces required, and it's also used as a drop-off and pick-up area. For refuse and service areas, a regular schedule for roll-out garbage containers collection. As far as utilities, they are currently available and active. They will not be altered by the proposed use. For screening, buffering, and landscaping, as previously mentioned, adequate landscaping exists on site, which must be maintained according to the city's land development code. There's also a 6-foot wood fence surrounding the backyard, as required by the ordinance. As far as signs outside or in the area, children at play signs were installed as recommended by the engineering department. That's 2 signs in the area close to this location. And require yards and open spaces as far as the actual space that is required for the daycare inside and the outside. For the outside, there is 75 square feet per child, which is times 12. That gives you a minimum of 900 square feet, and the applicant is providing approximately 3,200 square feet available outdoor area for the kids to play. Also for the inside, 35 square feet per kid is required, as well as a minimum of 420 square feet. And the applicant is provided 468 square feet. Staff recommends that Planning and Zoning Board review and make a recommendation to City Council.
Any public comments? No public comments on this matter. Any board comments? Questions?
Yes.
Ms. Davis.
Are there any other child care facilities on the street, on the same street?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Are there any other child care facilities on the same street?
Child care facilities like this one?
Well,
12
any,
kids.
whether it's 6 or 12.
Actually, I don't remember seeing any other facility, but there is no separation requirement between the 6 kids facility and the 12 kids facility.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So that I don't recall any other facility in the area, whether it's 6 or 12. Well, actually 12, I know that there is none because I have a map and know where they are located. But there is no separation requirement between the family child care and the large family child care home.
And tell me again, I don't know why I feel like I missed something. Why is there a special exception? Is it because they want to expand from 6 to 12 in a residential area?
Is that it, Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Since we're on that, so, and let me understand you. You said that there is no separation requirement between large family and just a family daycare,
That's right.
but between two of the same, there is a requirement.
Right. That's the 250 feet separation requirement that I mentioned.
Jeff Gagnon, Planning Zoning Administrator. There's no separation requirement for family daycare facilities. So if there's facilities that have up to 6 children, there's no separation requirement whatsoever. For the large family daycare facilities that require the special exception approval, there is a separation requirement between those larger facilities. For this applicant, because there isn't a separation requirement for the smaller facilities, we wouldn't have mapped that. So there may in fact be another small family daycare facility up to 6 children, but there's no other facility up to 12 children within that buffer.
And the child care facilities for up to 6 children, do they require any sort of special exception?
They do not. There's actually a section of the Florida statutes that allows the family daycare facility to just be treated as a residential development, and it's actually it doesn't have to meet any city ordinances actually. So in essence, it's just treated as a single family home, and there's no additional ordinances or special exception process or buffer that we could impose on those facilities.
Is that good, Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Colton?
How long has this business been in operation? Has small, not just the 2 years, have they been longer than 2 years?
They have been
In
longer than 2
operation.
years.
What's the total years, do you know?
Maybe the applicant. They just come up from there. Public.
Latonya Butler. I've been in operation for 3 years and 2 months.
Just curious.
Is that it, Mr. Colton?
Yes.
I got a question, and it's off of the applicant. It's away from the applicant, I should say. It actually goes to the ordinance 3092. And I imagine there must have been some sort of resolution, correct me if I'm wrong, that extended the year? That extended the window for the special exception process?
Right. So the ordinance went through the ordinance process for approval. In addition to that, previously there was a resolution. I believe there was a separate resolution that spoke to the application process. Or actually, it was actually covered in that ordinance. I think one of the sections of the ordinances covered it.
Right.
Right. There's a section of this ordinance, right?
And I have the ordinance 3092, but here in the background it says, on September 4th, 2013, and this is just for informational purposes, the City Council extended the 1-year fee waiver period for large family child care homes.
So I think the initial fee waiver was covered within that ordinance, and then there was an additional resolution to allow for another 1-year period.
And is it 1 year from what date? From the September
I
4?
believe it was the date that the resolution was approved.
Okay, so it would have been September 4.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. I apologize.
Well, at least it's in the background section of the staff analysis for this applicant. I think it's, is that right, Brad?
I don't have any.
Because what my concern is, Jeff, just reading this, and it wasn't until I got a little bit into taking a look at some of the applications. On September 4th, the City Council extended the 1-year fee waiver for the large family child care homes. My concern is the extension. If the original fee waiver was passed on May 18, 2011, and I recall us doing this last year, correct? We did some applications last year. I just wanted to see when that year starts and when can we stop expecting to see these applications come through for the special exception in the fee waiver process.
Yeah, the window for the second, I guess, application waiver period would have started on the date that the resolution was approved. For the most part, I think we've seen most of the applications come through our department because there were multiple applicants waiting for the opportunity to apply. So this window again was granted, so I wouldn't anticipate many more applications coming through, even though there is a window that will be extended through 2014.
Okay, and just based on the language, the 2 full-time child care personnel must be on premises during the operation. That's in the language of the new ordinance. What happens once we come in, once they apply for the special exception process? Does someone from building, or who monitors whether they're actually 2 full-time staff persons? Is that something that occurs after they're granted the special exception process?
Yeah, what the ordinance did was mirrored the state statutes. So the state actually, or the county, actually enforces the staff requirements.
So I imagine the county has similar regulations regarding 2 people?
Yeah, the ordinance mirrored the existing language that was passed through state statute.
Okay. Oh, well, that makes sense. So there's no monitoring by the city?
Not as far as monitoring if there's 2 personnel or staff members on the premises.
Okay. In this outdoor area and these other requirements that was added, there's nothing that Riviera Beach staff people go out and ensure? Because I remember the last time we had some sort of yard sign notification that was placed in some of the facilities.
Right.
Did we do that here?
The special exception process, there's the signage requirement. I think it's kind of tough to discern on the photo, but it's a little yellow square right there showing.
Okay, I didn't even see it.
Posted. But each property would be posted, and that's really for informational purposes for the neighborhood, for the community. So, if you see the sign up here next door, kind of piques your interest, and you can say, yeah, I support this, or no, wait a minute, I think there could be an issue. But to date, we haven't had any concerns or issues with the previous or these current applicants.
Okay, and one last thing. Now, does that now change the certificate of use, and does that change the fee amount for these applicants? Which I imagine, they did come in on a special exception. I imagine that the fee is probably increased for the regular certificate of use.
Yeah, well, what's required is the certificate of use and business tax receipt needs to be updated to reflect that it's now designated as a large family child care facility. I believe there's a nominal difference, a cost of that certificate of use versus just family child care. But there is a slightly higher charge for that documentation.
I think that's fair for increasing the capacity.
What the city tried to do was to gauge the volume and the intensity of the business and kind of discern the prices to be used in business tax receipt based off of that.
So what's the purpose for the installments? Because I remember that was being discussed once before, the installment payments. Is that not for this use?
The installments that actually there was an ordinance approved that changed potential application process, and the payment required for application for, I believe it was assisted living facilities, places of worship, and also child care facilities. It enables them to go through a pay period type of system versus trying to pay everything all at once so they can begin the process. So it's kind of associated, but still separate.
Okay, I just remember reading it somewhere. Okay, fair enough. Any other comments? Mr. Hamilton.
Will letters be going out to the surrounding community about the increase in business or already now?
The committee has already been notified 300 feet from this location. There has also been a legal ad placed in the office post warning everyone that reads the newspaper.
Any other?
This is because it's a special exception required.
Ms. Davis?
I really appreciate what these ladies and probably gentlemen are doing, trying to take care of the babies and the children. And my comments have absolutely nothing to do with the wonderful work you do, but my comments are based on the special exception approval. You know, just to be conscious of it, I'm not saying we're going to vote against this, but the fact that, you know, we have a for-profit business that is now expanding and it's in a residential neighborhood. I mean, we're here on planning and zoning, and I think we have to be conscious of the fact that if we start giving special exceptions for things, then we won't have a zoning code. And that's something that that troubles me. I think it's wonderful that the city has gone made the effort to put a payment structure in place, but my comments are just strictly on the special exception and the zoning code. And I think we have to be conscious about that. On whether there's a child care or a restaurant, being in a residential neighborhood.
Chair?
Well taken, Ms. Brooks.
Just for point of clarity, the special exception was issued by the commission. Am I correct? Someone gave the direction that they wanted to allow when the state came out to increase, depending on the size of the house or whatever, and we created the ordinance. There was something that was brought to say that they were going to do a special exception because we had some in the community to give them a break because of the fee. The fee was kind of like outrageous out there. So I'm not sure if it was under the direction, but I know the mayor or someone else or whatever, someone would ask for, for this to be considered. I think someone from the commission, I think, showed up at a meeting once and requested this.
The history of large family child care homes, it essentially started when the state created a new definition. Right. So then the city, because there were businesses that wanted to take advantage of this new business opportunity, a new definition, city council decided that we wanted to create the possibility for this to happen. And then it was decided that we would need the special exception approval process, which the applications are applying for currently, which means they have to go through planning and zoning board and finally be approved by the city council to ensure that concerns about intensity of the use, if there were to be any sort of feedback from the neighborhood, they would have the opportunity to come to a public meeting, present staff with any information in writing that was to share with the board, and It was really to keep the process open and to allow the public to really be in on the process and provide comments.
I remember the fee issue, but mine's strictly relate, and I remember having a conversation, all of us did, about the waiver of fees. Mine is strictly having a for-profit business in a residential neighborhood. And I understand the 6 children. I mean, we took in children when I was a little kid, and I took care of those children, and I can appreciate that. But when you're expanding it to 12, that's a large, and you've even changed the definition from whatever it was to a large family care home, child care home. I think we just have to be really careful about that, and I'm really opposed to it.
Any other comments?
I have one.
Mr. Cole?
The sign I noticed that's in front of the yard, is that a sign that needs to be there permanently?
That's just advertisement.
That's
Advertising
advertisement.
this meeting.
Just because of the meeting? It's not something that needs to be stated, children playing.
That's different.
Basically, my question is if there's a sign that needs to be present, could there be a more permanent sign staked out, other it doesn't need a sign?
No sign
No sign
required
is
to be
required.
present.
Okay.
But not,
That's information for the meeting.
well, didn't you just,
What had happened was,
Yeah.
there was staff comments concerning children at play sign,
Right.
which was addressed by the applicants. So there is permanent signage, but the signage that is appearing in this photo, that's just a public notification of the meeting. So that's basically saying it's going through a special exception process. We're meeting
Oh,
tonight.
that sign. But
That's what the yellow sign is.
where is the sign? Is there a sign that you commented on earlier about children at play? Where's that located?
Right. I believe
There's a
that
traffic sign on the right of way, both directions.
At each of these locations, basically close to each of these locations.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who placed that sign? The city or the owner of that business? Who's required to put that sign up?
That was the applicant.
Applicant.
That was the applicant expenses.
the applicant pays for a city sign to be placed on the right-of-way?
That's how it happened.
Is that, so how much is it? Roughly.
comments were received by engineering department, specifically on signage. As far as the details of the signage, I think it was communication between the applicant and that department. To date, I do believe that applicants did order signage.
Well, my question is this, Jeff. It's page 3 of this staff analysis. It says, children at place signs will be installed at this location as recommended by the engineering department, not required. Recommended. So, and I definitely like the idea of a sign. But how many did we do last year? Just roughly about 5 or 6 special exceptions for large family daycares?
At least 7, yes.
And I think it's a great idea. I mean, especially if you're increasing the capacity. I like the fact that the applicant should pay. If they came in on a special exception, we've saved them a few $1,000s. So, I would like to see if, and I didn't really pay much attention to the other applications, but was it specific for just this location that they recommended?
I believe that was a comment for all applications.
Well, was that on the ones that we did in 2012?
Not that I recall.
Well, I think that's a good idea. At least if it's kind of hard to enforce it retroactively, but I think that's something that should be uniform, at least across the board. Because if you're going to increase the capacity of a family daycare, then we should also increase the proactiveness and the regulatory awareness for these signs and having them in our community. So, and I know of one place that we did on the Fobs over on 29th Street. Ironically, I asked a question at that meeting about were there any traffic control devices like speed bumps or speed calming devices, and a few weeks later there was one. So I think it's a great idea. I guess that's something that's probably have to be, I'm not sure what the process is, but at least going forward, I think that's something that should be considered for all applicants of large family daycares. Any other comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Moved by Ms. Brooks,
Second.
second by Mr. Colton.
Please roll.
That me? Yes.
Mr. Carey. Brian Colton,
Yes.
Michelle Brooks,
Yes.
Patrick McCoy,
Yes.
Marie Davis,
No.
Arthur Hamilton.
Yes.
The motion passes 4-1.
Next item.
Okay, next item is large family childcare special exception application SC 1303, the Grandma's Love Family Daycare. Is that a question? Well, first person, 5 items are really similar. I went through the first presentation kind of just to refresh our memories and for some of the board members to be familiarized with the process. Does the board feel comfortable with the stuff report, or wants to go through this presentation, or just the highlights?
I have no preference. If someone else up here cares for you to go through everyone, it's pretty repetitive.
I have one question. All 5 items, are they basically similar with board approval, and board has went out, the board staff had went out and looked at each individual ones, or is there any in this particular application process that is separate from, that is different, so different that we need to look at it individually?
They are all similar applications, and I'll say that what changes is the specifics to as far as the name of the applicant, so the square footage, but they all comply with what's required by ordinance number 3092.
If you could just, my preference is you just kind of indicate the location, and if no one else has a problem with that, I mean, that suffices for me.
I'll probably go with the highlights, and if you have any questions on.
1 second, Ms. Davis.
No, I was going to have a question about each one of them, whether or not there had been other child care facilities on the same street, and whether you'd heard from the neighbors. Those are my only 2 questions.
Well, you can ask them each as the
So,
item
yeah.
goes up, but you don't have to spend a lot of time unless
Right.
there's any other objection.
I did not hear from the neighbors, and again, as far as the requirements, there are no other large family child care facilities within the 250 feet.
But do you have a physical
Yes.
slide that shows the map? Okay.
So it's located south of Blue Heron, east of Old Dixie. And as we zoom in, you can see that it's on the northeast corner of Avenue F and 16th Street. Picture showing you what the location, again, the yellow sign is just temporary public notice for this meeting. Notice also I'll go personally to all the locations and change the sign, change the date for city council whenever it goes to city council. It's surrounding properties, all residential neighborhood. Site plan, the location. This 1600 Avenue Ave. This is located in a parcel approximately 8,700 square feet. It's R6, single family. Again, the 2 full-time employees. For this application, we have Ms. Diana Rhodes and Lolita Shelton. And with this applicant, they have provided previous 2 years of child health department licenses, showing that they've been operating for 2 years. They also accept the ratio, and they have the 1-year childhood development. And as I previously mentioned, we have checked, and there is no other facility like this within 250 feet. Ingress and egress to the side is Avenue F and West 16th Street. The driveway will provide the required parking spaces as is required by the ordinance. Regular schedule roll-out garbage containers collection. Pretty much the utilities are not affected. And this applicant has also a 6-foot wood fence around the backyard, so outdoor play area. It is private case. And this applicant was also recommended to install the 2 signs, children at play, and they're already installed. For the inside of the daycare, there are required 420 square feet, and the applicant is showing providing 517 square feet. For the outdoor 900 square feet requirement, the applicant is providing approximately 2,600 square feet. So staff recommends that planning and zoning board review and make a recommendation to city council.
Any public comments? Hearing none. Board comments? Mr. Cole.
I'm sorry to keep going back, but the signs that, and I've heard when I brought up about the sign children at play that the former applicants were not required to. Is it possible that the city may be able to go back? Because I'm just imagining me, for example, riding down one of these streets. There's no sign children at play at a daycare that has 12 children. One runs out, not maybe just me, but for any citizen. There is no sign that what I'm hearing that's been posted in those previous applications. What can be done?
You can always make a motion for council to consider to add that requirement. Is that correct?
Well, I think for the previously approved applicants, going back to the certificate of use and business tax receipt, they pay at least 1 full year of a new fee. I think at this point, Public Works and the city would be able to find the funding to come up with signage for the previously approved. But moving forward, I think it's a good comment. And basically, more than a recommendation, but a condition of approval that we can apply to the applicants.
So we can impose a condition of approval? No.
Well, we can, for any application coming forward, whether it's a special exception, a site plan, if there's a specific condition of approval that either staff recommends or the planning and zoning board recommends, it can always be included in any item that goes to city council.
Okay, sounds good.
I'd like to recommend, or it go before the city council, that they look or revisit signs for those prior or previous applications that were approved and no signs were installed. I think for the safety of the community and the city protection, that signs should be located at those, be posted at those locations. That should be a consideration for the city if they want to bring it up.
I don't want to change any motions. My recommendation would be, if the board wishes to make that recommendation, that it would actually be directed towards staff. So then staff can coordinate interdepartmentally and work with Public Works and Engineering Department on signage for the existing facilities. And then moving forward, we can make that as a condition of approval.
Okay. So I don't need a motion, just ask staff.
If you wish to make a motion, you can.
Well, understand what he's saying, Mr. Colton. We can't retroactively make someone we already approved put a sign up. But I think what he's going is that it could possibly happen that the city will cover the cost. Is that correct? But going forward, these applications that we have in front of us, we can make as a condition. I'm not even an attorney. Ms. Stubbs, is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh, I should be attorney.
Advice is free.
Ms. Davis?
Nothing.
Mr. Hamilton?
Because of the growth of these businesses, and is there a requirement for businesses to have signage for operation?
For signage, it actually works inversely in the residential areas. So one of the requirements is that they don't have signage, being that they're in residential location. So they wouldn't be able to put up any sort of commercial signage advertising their business because of the location within the residential zoning district.
Any other comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved in second.
Traffic McCoy?
Yes.
Lachey Brooks,
Yes.
Brian Colton,
Yes.
Marie Davis,
No.
Arthur Hamilton.
Yes.
The motion approved 4-1.
Next item.
So did the board feel comfortable with just going over the highlights? This is a special exception applications for large family child care, application number SE 1304, Utilize Grace Family Daycare. As you can see on the map, it's located south of Blue Heron and east of Old Dixie. As we zoom in, it's on the southwest corner of 22nd Ford and Avenue G. This property is located on a parcel approximately 6,700 square feet, and it is on RS6 single family, future land is of single family. Again, the yellow sign advertising the public meeting, and as you can see, surrounding this neighborhood is all residential. Here's a site plan that has been provided by the applicant. For this application, Ms. Eula Gray is the owner and operator, one of the 2 full-time employees, and Maria Gray is the second full-time employee. Again, the 2 years license with the healthcare department has been provided. The 1-year child social development associate has been provided as well. Child ratio has been acknowledged and approved, and the staff has reviewed the 250 feet separation requirement, and the applicant does comply. Access to the property is right up Avenue G at 22nd Ford. Existing drive will provide 3 required parking spaces in the pick-up and drop-off area as required by ordinance number 3092. Utilities will not be affected by the increment in the business. This property has adequate landscaping and a 4-foot chain link fence with immediate 75% coverage installed around it, so it does provide the privacy required by the ordinance 3092. Also, the children at play signs were installed as recommended for the engineer department. And for the 900 square feet of outdoor area required by the ordinance, the applicant has shown and is providing approximately 3,600 square feet. And for the inside, to comply with the 420 square feet of daycare just for the kids, the applicant is showing to have 485 square feet, just as needed with that daycare. The staff recommends the planning zoning board review and make a recommendation to City Council.
Any public comments? Board comments? No board comments. Hearing none. Is there a motion?
A motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Brooks, second by Mr. Colton.
Arthur Hamilton,
Yes.
Marie Davis,
No.
Patrick McCoy.
Yes.
Lachey Brooks,
Yes.
Brian Colton.
Yes.
The motion approved 4-1.
Next item.
The next item is large family child care special exception application number SC 1305. This is Andrews Little Angels Family Child Care. As you can see on the map, it's in the south area of the city, west of Old Dixie. As we zoom in, you can see it's right on 6th Street between Avenue D and Old Dixie Highway. This property is located on 5,000 square feet parcel. It is on RM15 for multiple family and future land use is medium density multi-family residential. As you can see on the screen, there's a picture showing the front of the daycare. It has a sign as well. These are some of the surrounding properties. It's right next to the vacant lot, but the other properties is all residential. Slide plan provided by the applicant. And for For this applicant, this daycare, we have Ms. Andrea Fritz, the owner and operator, and one of the full-time employees, and the second full-time employee is the Andrea Powell. Again, the 2-year license have been provided, the 1-year childhood development associate has been provided as well. The childhood ratio has been acknowledged and approved, and the 250-foot separation requirement has been revised by staff. You can access this property right up Avenue G and Old Dixie Highway, West 6th Street. The existing driveway will provide 3 parking spaces and it's also used as a drop-off and pick-up area. Utilities will not be affected; they're available and active. There's also adequate landscaping on the property, and this one has a 6-foot wood fence around the backyard, bringing the privacy for the outdoor area of the kids. The children and play signs were installed as recommended by engineering department as well. And for the 900 square feet outdoor area required by the ordinance, the applicant is providing 1,080 square feet. For the indoor 420 square feet required, the applicant is providing 501 square feet. So staff recommends the planning zoning board to review and make a recommendation to city council.
Are there any public comments? Any board comments? Ms. Davis.
The current zoning application, classifications are in 15, and that's multifamily.
Yes, ma'am.
Why are they coming for a special exception? Is it because they're increasing the size from 6 to 12?
That's correct.
And it has nothing to do with the zoning, the classification?
The ordinance requires a special exception for these increase in the zoning district as well.
Okay. So what other types of businesses are permitted in the multifamily? Are they just apartments? I mean, it's different than, or what? I guess I should ask maybe the definition. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For large family daycares in both RS6 and RM15 zoning districts, one's a single family, one's a multiple family zoning district. For that use to be approved in either one of the zoning districts, it requires a special exception approval. For the most part, the uses are very similar, except that the density is higher in the RM15 area, meaning that you could have potentially a duplex versus only a single family home. Or you may be able to put, if it was a larger parcel, potentially apartments versus the single family zoning designation that would only allow the single family residential house to be built.
Mr. Hamilton?
Thank you, Chair. On the site plan for parking, I saw a city vehicle, possibly an owner's vehicle, and possibly 2 owners' vehicles. And I was curious if there's, maybe a staff found that there's adequate parking if I may be mistaken, those may be employee vehicles.
That's my car. City employee. I'm going to take a picture.
That's what I was going to
Like I said, I saw the SUV on the right, on the left.
On the west side, yes.
Okay. Right, I saw a city vehicle. And I guess those are 2 employee vehicles on the east side.
I don't know if he knows who vehicle.
I don't know who owns those vehicles. Maybe the applicant can clarify that.
I mean, is it really material? They meet the minimum qualifications for a parking space.
Right. So that clearly shows that there are at least 3 parking spaces, which is what's required by the ordinance. There's actually extra space for drop-off and pick-up area.
It could very well be a parent's vehicle, but I mean, is there what's the basis? Because I do see 3 vehicles, that's all that's required. So I have a question. And Jeff, you explained to Ms. Davis that what was a multifamily dwelling. RS6 and RS8, what's the difference between the two? Because they seem to be essentially the same, correct?
Yeah, it's really just the density once again. So RS8, I guess in simplest possible terms, RS6 would be 6 dwelling units per acre, and RS8 would be 8 dwelling units per acre. So if you had an acre of land, it would be more intense in RS8 versus RS6, potentially.
Okay. Any other germane comments?
I have one. Or I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Cole.
With these special exceptions, multifamily and single family, if the owner moves, does the special exception stays at these locations for anyone else to come in, or it just goes?
Well, what's very unique about these applications is that there's the 2-year requirement. So if the business itself were to move, I believe the license is transferable, but I don't think it can change ownership. So if it were to be transferred, you would have to go through the process once again, because it would be this same use in the new area. So we'd have to make sure that there wasn't another large family child care facility within the buffer. So essentially, to better answer your question, these approvals are for this one location that we're seeing tonight.
So someone else can come in, different owner, using that special exception for that location?
I don't believe it's transferable from one person to another.
Is that, or could you look into that to see if it's transferable or not? Or may not be?
That's for the business, it's not for the location.
Yeah, but we're doing this special exception for the
No,
location.
no,
For
for
the
that
business.
owner to increase.
Any other comments? Hearing none, is there a motion?
A motion to approve.
All right, so move. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Motion by Ms. Brooks, second by Mr. Colton.
Frank Colton,
Yes.
Rashay Brooks,
Yes.
Patrick McCoy.
Yes.
Marie Davis,
Yes.
Arthur Hamilton.
No.
Motion passes 4-1.
Next item.
Next item is large family childcare special exception application SC 13-06. This is for private family childcare at home. As you can see on the map, the property is located north of Blue Heron, east of Old Dixie Highway. And as we zoom in, you can see that it's north of 33rd Street and south of 34th. The property is located at 390 West 22nd Street on an 8,000 square feet parcel, and the zoning is RS6. And future land use is single family. The screen is showing the front of the property, the public advertisement as well. So as you can see, the surrounding properties, they're all residential. Here you can see the site plan that was provided by the applicant. In this case, the 2 full-time employees are Ms. Sandra Boatwright, which is the owner and operator, and Mr. Nathaniel Boatwright. They have provided a 2-year license. The license for the last 2 years from the health department, the 1-year for the childhood development associate equivalency. They have also acknowledged and accepted the child ratio. And staff has reviewed the 250 feet separation requirement. You can access this property directly off Avenue H and Avenue H East and West 34th Street. In this case, the existing driveway will provide 3 parking spaces and will be also square feet of the drop-off area. And this property, this use will not affect any of the utilities which are currently active and available. There is adequate landscaping in the property, and also a 6-foot wooden fence installed in the backyard to provide that privacy as required. And this applicant has also installed the children at play signs as recommended by the engineering department. For the 900 square feet required by the ordinance, the applicant is providing 1,010 square feet for the outdoor play area. For the inside area, 420 square feet is required. The applicant is showing to provide 667 square feet. So staff recommends the planning zoning board to review and make a recommendation to city council.
Any public comments? I got a comment. Can you go back 2 slides for me? Were installed. It says children at play signs were installed. Are they already installed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was because of the special exception, or was it because they were already existing?
This is because that was one of the comments made by the engineering department, and they wanted to comply with all the comments and requirements before the planning zoning board.
I'm sorry, but I'm trying to understand. So previously, on the first application that we seen tonight, it was already installed on that one as well?
All of them.
All the applicants already have the children at play signs installed.
Because, okay, well maybe the staff analysis was prepared before, because it says children at play signs will be installed on this staff analysis we have here. And then your slide says were installed, so maybe there's just a timing difference. It's immaterial. I just was curious because I didn't know if we were going to do them or they were already done. Because at least all of the ones that I've seen said will be installed as if it's forthcoming.
If by any chance they weren't already installed, it was my understanding that prior to tonight they would have been installed, but prior to city council will make sure that
Okay.
all the signage is properly.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. All right. Any comments? Board comments?
I have a question.
Ms. Davis.
Just a point of curiosity. The children that are being taken care of, they from 0 to 10 or 12 or 14, or how does that, is there
0
a
to 24.
requirement of age or 18 or what?
There's
Is it on the?
The health department has the child ratio, so it has maximum of 8 children from birth to 24 months of age, or a maximum of 12 children with no more than 4 children under 24 months.
Okay.
any other comments? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Brooks, second by Mr. Colton. Staff?
President Hamilton,
Yes.
Marie Davis,
No.
Patrick McCoy.
Yes.
Shea Brooks.
Yes.
Brian Colton.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
General discussions. Public comments? Correspondence? Hearing no correspondence. Board members, any comments? Go ahead, Ms. Colton. Sorry, Mr. Hamilton.
A couple of meetings ago, a few board members had some questions about the arena, and staff was going to get back to us on those questions. To attempt to refresh your memory, I was inquiring about the rents on the slots.
On the slips.
Slips. And a few other questions were inquired about the floor of the Newcomb Hall,
There were,
third floor, et cetera. A few questions
for
were,
the Marina Uplands presentation, just the workshop, I think there were board comments based off of that. I think they were substantially answered. There may be one or two outliers that I'll be glad to follow up on. I think they were substantially answered at the next meeting where it's like that approved by the zoning board to be reviewed by the city or the city council. If there's any specific questions, I'll be happy to go back and tomorrow, whenever you have the opportunity, I'll be happy to follow up on any of those questions.
Thank you.
Members, any other comments? Just, I appreciate what we do up here. We got a really interesting task when we have to look at these items, and sometimes I get carried away and I research some things. And Ms. Davis, you mentioned something earlier about the special exception and that whole process. Unfortunately, you missed last meeting. It was really interesting. We did a road abandonment. I would just, if you get a chance, look at the minutes or even the recording. But almost what you were saying is something that I brought up the last time, just about typically how things work. But, we have to remember that we're just advisory in nature. And some of these questions that come up, like whose car is in the driveway or what's the occupancy of the slips at the marina, aren't really germane to us in the whole scope of planning and zoning. So I don't know if Jeff would have that answer to what's the occupancy at the marina. That's community development, and as you know, the marina is handled by the marina, so just a kind of something that I noticed. If there is any other board comments, we're going to go back to staff for updates.
Yeah, our next scheduled meeting is December 12th. Currently, we don't have any items lined up for that meeting, meaning that our next meeting could be on January 9th, 2014. So at this point, I guess I'd like to say happy holidays and happy New Year.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll see you, and perhaps we'll be next year.
Ms. Brooks, motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.